In about 2008, I purchased a kayak so that I could get on the river, and spent time in 2008 getting on the river kind of by myself or with a different group of people. And then I met Laura Caldwell. And so she invited me on a couple paddle trips that I went with. There was kind of a significant time. It was in 2010 where my job changed. I worked for tourism in Manhattan. And so I started really promoting the outdoors and the recreation, and paddling was a part of that. So created a couple of different events that got people on the river, but I certainly found a love with the Friends of the Caw and the group that was there. So I think it was like 2012 that the Kansas River became the National Scenic Water Trail. And so that kind of just upped the time that I spent on the river. Spent more and more time. Actually went on a couple of the governor's paddles throughout that 2014, 2015 timeframe. And then I met Don Bueller, who's the river keeper now with Friends of the Caw. And we've just connected on a much deeper friendship level. And so I've probably been on the river, I don't know, 100 times in the last couple months, years, decades. So I love the Kansas River. There was a significant event that happened, and that was Scott Mansker did the MR 340, which typically goes from Cost Point to St. Charles in Missouri, 340 miles. And at that time, I believe it was 2011, that the Missouri River was flooded, and so he needed to back up on the river. And so he actually left Manhattan, Kansas, where I'm at, and did the event and did it to Lawrence. And so I worked with that event that happened, and at that time Laura was involved and Mike Caldwell was involved, and actually he brought his cannon to the Manhattan boat ramp, and that's how they started that race. Is Mike Caldwell shot the cannon over the water and started the race. And so then all the boaters left, the kayakers left. It was 5 p.m. at night. Most of them arrived 24 to 36 hours later in Lawrence. So that was a great event, and certainly again gave knowledge and access to the events that could happen on the Kansas River. I was in part of a group that started the Little Apple Paddle in Manhattan, and Friends of the Caw, the river guides, have come along, bless them. They come along and help with support and keeping people safe on the river. And that event has grown since 2016. Just because people want to get on the river, but they're afraid to. And so if they can come with a group of people and we make it safe, then they feel like, okay, I can do it by myself or do it with smaller groups. And so I love the fact that we've given access to people for the Kansas River. I got invited to be on the board, and that's been a significant thing. Obviously, a board of directors helps guide an organization. They set policy for the river keeper to implement, and then put on events like tonight to make things happen so that more and more people know about all the advocacy work that Friends of the Caw does for the Kansas River, and the fact that so many Kansans use the drinking water of the Kansas River. And so I think my part is just trying to get more public knowledge out there that it's a beautiful recreation piece, but it's also an important part for people for the drinking water aspect. There's a lot of favorite memories. One of them happened right over here over my shoulder. We were going to launch and practice for the 173, and so we wanted to spend 2 nights on the river and go over the Topeka Weir safely. And so we came out, and the plan initially was leave on Friday after work, paddle 2 miles up to the closest sandbar at the time, and camp out. And I said, well, when we got here, let's just paddle across to the island. So that's what we did. It happened to be on my birthday. Some people brought me cupcakes. It was very sweet. It was very memorable. At that time, I was not taking a tent with me, so I was sleeping out in a bag that had a bivvy with it. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, the lightning woke me up and woke up everybody in the camp, and we realized there was this huge bow echo coming down the river. And so we actually moved tents at 2 a.m. to be a lot safer and tucked under the trees. and one of the guys was down closer on the sandbar on the lower level, and we pulled him up, and anyway, it was very memorable. None of us will ever forget that night, and it was a great experience. And the next day we got up and paddled on down the river and had a great weekend. So anytime I sleep out on the sandbar is great. I love that we have that ability as Kansans, that you can come and camp below the high water mark on any of the sandbars, and every time it's different, right? Because the water levels might vary, and so the same sandbar won't be available the next weekend or the weekend after that. And so it just changes all the time. We've named our sandbar campsites, so we have some favorites, but we keep trying new ones. I was out 2 weekends ago and we tried a new place, and it's one of my favorites now. I want people on the river. I want them to know that the Kansas River is a safe place, and that they should experience it for themselves, because it's that firsthand experience that makes it sweet. So.